Hello, everyone. We're back in I Was Just Overthinking Zone. It's your favorite host, Z, and I have another guest on the episode. I know what's going on. It's this amazing person. He's a young black man. He's so hench. He's so cool. He just keeps on laughing. Well, without further ado, Jordan, welcome to podcast.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
How does it feel to be on a podcast? Is this your first time on an episode?
It is.
It is.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, with that said, let's jump straight into episode 11. For the sake of our audience,
Mhm.
it's already part of a series. We're
Mhm.
doing health, fitness, eating habits series. Our first guest was Kieran, and it was so lovely. We talked about eating habits, we talked about healthy lifestyle, we talked about gut health. And this is exactly what I'm looking to do in these series. It's to highlight things that are not very, obvious when it comes to these conversations, because obviously there's so many recycled conversations out there.
Mm.
A lot of Instagram people, whoever, pages, right? They all talk about it. But I want to focus on things that not a lot of people talk about.
Mm.
It's things that we don't really pay a lot of attention to, but we should be.
Mm.
And this is exactly where you come in, Jordan. Today's episode is going to be about self-improvement and Jordan's fitness journey and what we can learn from it. Jordan, before we jump into the episode, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Wow. Where do we begin? I born and bred in Birmingham, UK. I'm lucky. I say this, I feel I'm a bit blessed to be here because especially where I grew up in Birmingham as well, it's actually all right. You know what I mean? There's not too much badness.
Yeah.
We have a mix of countryside. We've got, I guess metropolitan stuff as well.
Yeah.
And it's really going through a lot of development. So no, I'm lucky. Been here since birth.
Since birth.
Since birth. As you know, I'm eager to try and move around, experience different cities, loving London, as you know as well.
Yes, sir.
But no, looking to explore, but that's where I'm from, Birmingham. Family heritage. I guess we could say Jamaican. Found out I'm somewhat part Chinese the other day as well, because my grandma's like half Chinese or something. There's a lot of stuff I'm figuring out about myself as well.
See, I love that. For the audience, when he told me that he had some sort of Chinese lineage, I was like, what? How did that happen?
The Caribbean people. Do you know what it is? I have no idea. The Caribbean people just get busy. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God.
All I can say.
Love that. So what do you do, Jordan?
What do I do? I am a software engineer at the moment. That's my normal daytime job, but there's an array of different things I'm doing as well.
See, that's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
So what are those things that you do outside of your job?
I haven't done it for a while, but music is like one of my big passions. Haven't been doing it for a while because there's a bit of side hustles and the whole thing about artificial intelligence and all these different things coming on. Because we do this for a living, and some of our friends who you know as well, we kind of want to take advantage of getting into that space, making applications, what we need anyway to help get our side hustles up and going.
For sure.
But kind of integrate AI as well. So even though the normal day job is software engineering, the side hustles and the side things, I don't really want to call them hustles, but the side stuff
they're kind of are at this point, right?
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
The other things we're doing as well are software related, and we get into filming. Another passion is cars as well.
I think my male audience would appreciate all of that.
I mean, if you want a whole episode on the automotive industry, look, I've been there since 3 years old. But yeah, we tried doing it before, but I think we've got one of our friends who's really getting into the camera stuff and that type of space. If you have one passion, it's really hard to do 20 of us at the same time.
100%.
So if you just have one dedicated person to do filming or camera work and study that craft, because if you're not really in it, or if you haven't been around people who are in it, it's hard for you to oh, I need this camera.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You have to do 10 hours of research to find out this one, the competitors, wherever you just have a single person in your group who does it, it's cool. So you can focus on the thing you want to do, and then he can focus on his passion as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's like a real good mixture, but that's one thing. Absolutely. And then I see the vision for that.
Yeah.
And I hope it rivals some of the big players in the game. Not rivals, but I think
also brings something new,
bring
right?
something new, man, because I swear, honestly, like I did leave that not gonna say I guess industry. Industry seems more like work.
Yeah.
But I mean, I left that space for a bit because it kind of just got really toxic.
Is this the music industry?
They're kind of both actually. They both go hand in hand, but the cars mostly, because they're just getting a bit boring. Everything was, everyone's releasing the same things. All cars are kind of getting very fast now, which is obviously a good thing, but it's more affordable. But then you have an influx of people. Who, I'm not, and I don't want to come across as someone like an elitist. Oh, I've been here since I've been so young. No. You want as many people in this game as possible, but you've got to approach things as an enthusiast. If you want to be, if you love cars, love them for what it is. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then if we look back on the music, oh my gosh, I was hungry. Oh. Because I've loved that as well since the very beginning. I was raised in a musical household. Right. I'd say.
How so? Who is the musical person in your family?
My aunt and my uncle. Right. So my mom, she bought a house when I was born. Then I can't remember. Maybe I think the area was getting bad or something. So she was like, let's just move back in with mom.
Interesting.
My nan. Right. So we moved back in, but then my aunt and uncle are also there. So that's like a family of. Well, I don't know how many generations. That's my nan, my mom, my aunt, and my uncle. That's probably like 4 or 5 generations in there, including me, 5. Yeah. And so my mom, not my mom. I'd say my grand. She'd kill me if I called her that. My nan she had like this vinyl record player, and like if
I didn't know this.
Oh my gosh, like if any like many of the Caribbean people know, like they love their music. They have I don't know what they call it. Like this is how bad I am with my heritage, right? They have something. I think they call it like it's basically a sound system, right? And I guess back in the day, you like you have different frequencies of music. You get your lows, you get your mids, you get your highs, right? Right. And for them, obviously, when you make a song, you try and make it as as perfect and as adaptable to any sound system as you can. Yeah. But if I like more bass on my song, I'm going to up the bass. Right. So they'll have like maybe a vinyl record player, then I might have a EQ or something like a frequency modulation thing or something there. Yeah. And she had one of these massive sound systems where you can like alter these different frequencies and stuff. So I was just interested in how that worked anyway, and all these vinyl things she had. Yeah. And also my aunt, biggest fan of R&B, just music in general. And then I think eventually she went on to be a singer-songwriter. She does that on the side now. She had a break, but now she's going back at it, doing things. Right. And then my uncle, he played the guitar, the double bass. He brought his friends over. They played like clarinet. Do you know what I mean? Like there's so many instruments that I used to see.
Wow, like I'm finding out so many new things about you, Jordan. Like, what is this? Wow.
There's a lot, especially like the early influences. It's all been there. Like.
See, that makes sense. I feel like a lot of the things that we're interested in, they do stem into our childhood, for sure. Yeah. It's what you're exposed to and what you see around you. 100%. You know what also interests me is how do those people get into it? Is it that your nan also was into it and she saw it in her family?
I just think you're basically talking about like how there could be a spark as a kid and it might influence you to do something. And I think, we were talking about the cars and like how that's happened now. I think for me, when you look at something with cars and maybe anyone else, and that might have been influences from my other family members, like they just gave me, like these things called Hot Wheels, right? These little these small little, and do you know what I mean? And obviously, as a child, your imagination, it's not the real world.
It's
It's
wild, yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
So you're there, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm imagining myself in this little car right now.
Oh my God.
And then they give you like this playing mat, and do you know what I mean? Like
That
all
is
these
so
things.
cute.
And then all the other kids, like if you go to nursery or something, do the same thing. It's like, now my little Hot Wheels car's better than yours.
Oh
Do
God.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all these things, and I guess that's where the competitive starts. That's where you enjoy stuff, mechanical stuff. They get your Legos. Then it just goes out of control.
That
And
is so
I
cool.
think it just depends on what you hand a kid as well.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And you know what, I'm from it, this is such an interesting thing because obviously I'm a girl. I don't know a lot about like an experiences of a guy, and it's so cool to hear you talk about it and how you got into your interests. But circling back to what you actually do as like a 9 to 5 software engineer.
Yeah.
How did that come about? I'm curious. Why did you decide it? Because obviously you were so into cars, music, you grew up around a lot of interesting things. And how did it land on engineering?
Okay, so when I left school, I had no idea what I wanted to. I had some idea. I knew I wanted to build things. I wanted to be an architect at first.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
I did, but like, for me, I'm too practical sometimes because like I don't want to do this if I can't. I don't just want to sit in the office. I kind of want to do something as well. So first, I did carpentry and joinery. I did not like that because it involved you getting up at 4 a.m.
Oh wow.
Going to you know what I mean, like going to these sites and stuff. Don't get me wrong, I'll be hard work and I'll be doing it. But I was like, I really don't know if I want to do this because I had a little bit of a taste of it.
Right.
And because if you have enough equipment in your arsenal, you know what I mean? Like if you know enough about a certain trade, like my friend Tom, he's like the guy now knows so much about like the building industry. If he wants to jump into architecture and make hundreds of thousands, he's equipped. Wow. He knows the foundations now, isn't it? So that was kind of going to be my plan. I just didn't like it. I really didn't like it. It's good. Now I can put up doors and fix houses and stuff for one. Like I'm doing mine.
You're a handyman. That's good.
Do you know what? I recommend anyone, if you have the time, spend a year and learn like a bit of a trade or something. Wow. Seriously, it's such a unique skill just to be able to cut wood, and it sounds so trivial, but to fit a skirting board or to hang a door or I don't know, you know what I mean, like these small
do something
things
around the house, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's so good. Like put up a shed. Like I helped my mum put up a shed. She was like, "What do you now?" Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just
that's an incredible. I would say that's a very desirable feature. Like in a man, it's an important skill for a man to have because obviously it's like you're contributing into the household.
100%. You don't have to pay someone else to do it if you don't want to.
That's it. Why would you pay some stranger to do that if you know a man can do it in your household? So I'm pretty sure your mom is super proud of that as well.
She is.
Of course she is.
Like, Jordan, can you fix this? I'm like, well, I haven't really got the time. I was like, no, you do it. I'm like, all right. Do you know what I mean? But I don't have to say it anymore. But still, but going from that, I did. Because at school, my mom, you know, like how you said, you try and influence kids you try and just push them and shape them into the right direction.
Direct them right.
Yeah. Mom was never, you are going to do this. No. Mom was like, I know this kid's interested in, you know, making stuff. He loves his sciences.
Yeah.
He prefers maths. He'd rather not speak to you. He'd rather just add numbers or do some foolishness stuff like that.
Interesting.
But she was like, Jordan, look, I've printed you out these Warwick University prospectus things. Like, these the grades you've got to get. Here's the courses available. Like, it was like motorsport and mechanical engineering. She was just like, look, the kid plays with Legos non-stop.
Wow.
He's always going about cars. I think at this time I started liking guns for whatever reason. You can bleep that out if it's going to get him demonetized.
No, not at all. No, I don't think there's enough audience for this podcast.
Yeah, I think Mom was just like, okay, this kid is really diverging to the root of he just loves mechanical stuff.
Yeah.
So she printed that out. And yeah, I was like, yeah, all right. Because at this point I was doing the athletics. We'll go back to the timeline and it later.
Yeah.
But I was doing athletics at that point. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. We'll see.
Yeah.
This must have been like year 9. So there's 2 years left until you can, you know.
For sure.
Actually, it's like 1 year because you got to really start thinking about in year 10. Really.
Yeah.
But I did have a, you know what I mean? Like it was always instinctively there.
Yeah.
But when I left school, I did the carpentry.
Mm-hmm.
And then after, when I, like the first year of carpentry, I was like, I do not want to do this. But
Mm-hmm.
for it to mean anything, you got to do 2 years. So I did the 2 years. And after, and during my second year, I was looking at like engineering. I was like, no, I've
Right.
got to, like, no, I really want to do this now. Like,
Yeah.
I think I needed, I think I needed some time off from reality, I guess,
Right.
before really focusing on what my career is going to be. I just needed a bit of time to think.
Yeah.
Probably a gap year would have done a world of good, but
Mm.
it didn't happen.
Yeah, at that point it's like you're kind of stepping into the real world
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, okay, this is I need to do something that will make me money and like sustain my life for
Well,
now
that's it. And something fun. Yeah.
and something fun.
Yeah. I must have watched Iron Man as well. I'm not going to lie. I watched Iron Man. I was like, he's an electrical engineer.
Yeah.
I like what he does.
Right.
Let me research this. And I kind of remember this, but
All good.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I kind of remember this. What was like? Now she's like, you were very mature when you. She was like, you were very mature. I was like, really? I was like, no, yeah. You approached me and said, this is what you want. This is what you want to do. And I was like,
Oh,
I can't remember that. It must have been a traumatic time because I forgot. You know what I
right.
mean? That's how the body brain works, I guess. But yeah. So
But
then
yeah.
did the A levels alongside an electrical engineering course as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then I jumped into university.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did not like the electrical engineering side that much. I'm going to be honest. I committed. I enjoyed the mechatronics more than anything. You know, you build in robotic stuff
Yeah.
and you can code the robotic stuff. Do you know what I mean? But when
Mm-hmm.
it came to make a circuit board or something, I was like, this is really not interesting me.
Right.
So we had in our electronic engineering course, we had a software engineering module.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that way more. Maybe it could be ADHD, I don't know. But I like the idea of I can run something, I can build something now, and that's kind of what software engineering is.
Mm-hmm.
You can make something now, you can make a little system, and you can spit an output out right now.
Interesting.
And it's just so much more fast paced, and I need that and I like that. Whereas opposed to when we had like electronic engineering labs or whatever it was,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you gotta do calculations. Obviously, you can simulate everything. You
Yeah.
gotta put it together. It might not work. There's too much debugging. Debugging just means figuring out what's wrong. Just can't be bothered with that. I'd
Mm-hmm.
rather just sit at the computer, chill, figure it out,
Yeah.
and go from there. And that's where I am now, basically.
Interesting.
Preferred it.
Jordan, so this is a really cool story. I'm curious, when did sports come into your life?
Wow. What? You can thank mom for that again. She, no, I think from what my mom tells me, because she always says this, she always says, Jordan, if you ever have kids, and if they're anything like you, good luck,
Oh,
because you were a good kid,
yeah.
you were stubborn as hell, but you had so much energy. We had to do something with you.
But that's right. I think that's what a good parent does.
Yeah.
Like you see a child is, let's say they're super energetic like yourself. What do I do to direct it in a good way?
That's the thing.
That's kudos to your mom.
It does still affect me now. I'm not gonna lie. I guess we can get into that. But how it happened then, she was like, okay, we need to do something. I think the very first thing, I think it must have been, she tried gym. I'm gonna say it was gym. No. Yeah, no. So gymnastics or football? It was probably football first.
Okay.
I think it was football. I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
No. It was gymnastics.
Okay.
Because I throw myself about. So it was like, maybe, they're just like, you try everything. Try let him do everything.
So you started off from gymnastics.
Oh, I didn't like it at all.
Okay.
I went to the lesson. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I was like, I'm not doing that. She's like, Jordan, we've made it all the way here. At least get on the mat or something.
Oh.
I did not like it. So we put that on the head. Didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Swimming, I did that for a bit. Got up to a certain level you get as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, Mom, I want to do something else. It's like, okay. No. I must have said, no, I don't particularly want to do that. Obviously, as parents,
yeah,
guiding again, but some parents can be like, no, you're sticking this out.
Yeah.
You're mad. I was like, okay, let me really figure out what he likes and commit to.
Yeah.
So we have a break from that. She's like, this boy is not staying in the house doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was karate then.
Karate.
Karate, yeah.
Wow.
I think I got to a purple belt or something, but I did that for a decent amount of years.
Mm-hmm.
And the sensei, the teacher,
Mm-hmm.
he was a member for a long time, and I think him and his wife moved to Cornwall.
Okay.
And I could have either stayed at the same place to train,
Mm-hmm.
or I could have, knocked on the head.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I've already reached a certain level of this.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd rather try something else now.
Yeah.
So at that point, I think that was just been like year 6.
Right.
It's year 6. So what happens? Yeah. No, we go into year 7,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just at this point. You got to remember, I'm just inherently fast anyway.
Yeah.
And there was a point in that I did miss out. I did do football, but I just didn't like it. Like they always said, like, yeah, he can run after the ball, but he once he gets it, he really doesn't know what to do with it.
You're just really fast.
I was just really fast.
I think this is where we're getting into your pro athlete time when you started running. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even because I think the football did come before the karate. But even at karate, they're just like, yeah, he does laps. Like he just, there was a thing where to build your, what's the correct word for it? To build your how agile you are basically, like, and to get like nimble on your feet.
Yeah.
There's something they made you do, like that make you put like a sock or something or like a belt behind you. And the aim of the game was to like try and grab the belt. So you, as the person with the thing attached to your back, has to move swiftly, right? And when they were doing it for me, they could never do it. Even the sensei as well. The only way he could get it was just, use brute force, pick me up and take it. I mean, that he's obviously playing at this point, but it was just, it's all there. Like, this kid is just fast. That's how it is. When we're doing punches or anything, they'll be like, right, slow down, technique. You can, we see the speed and there's a lot of power behind it.
Yeah.
So it's all rooted there.
Yeah.
And when it came to leaving that, I had a real good friend. It's my fault, really. I haven't spoken to this guy in a while. But he was my best friend. And this guy, we always do races in school as well. Like the school I went to, it had like a massive concrete. It was like massive concrete. I guess like most schools, I guess. I don't know. But we'd all the boys, sometimes some of the girls, would just run. We'd do a sprint. We'd do like a massive drag race, like running. And all of a sudden, this boy, my best friend, he starts doing athletic training.
Okay.
And then I'd say bearing in mind it's probably the time we all start hitting puberty and stuff, so that could be a reason as well. You know what I mean? He's like 6 weeks. All of a sudden, he's just, bearing in mind, I'm beating everyone at this point. 6 weeks go past. I can't catch him. What's going on?
Whoa.
What happened?
That's crazy.
I think people did have a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but I was still like, nah, this can't be right. What's going on? Yeah. So then,
is that what pushed you to kind of competition? Like, I want to beat this guy.
Always competitive anyway.
Healthy competition.
It was healthy. That's competition. Good. Yeah, but then I'm stopping my fitness anyway, and then we leave school. We jump into year 7. So my school was like a sports and fitness college anyway. Like, it sounds strange, but like I think you get to call it that when you get sponsorship from like English sports or something. You can get, the school can basically get money from the government for athletes or whoever it is, football players, whatever.
So your college or your school was pretty much specializing in those things.
It specialized in sports and science.
And was it by design? Did your mom kind of intentionally?
No, it's just a local school next. I think that's why we came back as well, because we lived like near Edgbaston.
Yeah.
And she sold it and then came back because I think she was a bit nervous of the people who were starting to come there as well. Just like,
Yeah.
you know what? I don't know if I'm going to send him to this school. Let's send him back to the place I know there. So that's how I ended up there. And it just so happened to be good at sports, science, and colleges. You know, it's wow, you have to edit that.
Don't worry.
Sports and sciences. There you go.
That's it.
So yeah.
Can we now talk about more about that experience, about your actual training for the, running? You became, obviously, you started professionally getting trained for that stuff.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about that experience and exactly what did it teach you. And it doesn't have to revolve around super physical things. You can tell us also things that, that experience taught you mentally,
Well, we were literally getting to that, and that is such a good point because you learn, gosh, you get humbled quick.
Right.
You get humbled so quick.
Would you say that's a common thing in the sports industry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't experience it while you're younger, it gets harder when you get older.
Why is that?
Because it's kind of like spoiled people, isn't it? Like if you've been told yes your whole life, and all of a sudden someone says no, you can't have that.
Right.
And you're conditioned to getting everything you want.
Right.
What? You're not gonna really receive.
It's like a reality check.
Yeah, you can't process. You've never processed it before, so how are you gonna process it now?
Right.
So like year 7, we jumped in it. We did like this school athletic thing. We went to, I don't know what it's called now, but we went to this stadium. We ran. Trainer saw me and was like, "You should really take him."
Yeah.
Went there, and it was Saturdays first. If you're good enough, then you got moved to do like, I think it was 4 times a week. You'd then go training.
Right.
Yeah, and that was like from year 8, and I did that all the way up to year 11. And
wow.
It's intense because you do that, and you do fitness at school. You still got to do your homework. There's a lot going on. But back to what you were saying, the training it's a shock.
It's a shock.
It's a shock because you haven't really. Most kids at that point are just either inherently fast or have an interest. So you go there and you have a training regime. They don't really care about too much about what you're eating at that point.
Really?
Because they just want you to have fun. Because if they just fully indoctrinate you right now,
yeah, you'll lose the fun part of it. Yeah.
So we were doing. I think that training session must have been at 2 hours.
Wow. A day.
So this was just the weekends at first.
Just the weekends.
Just the weekends to get used to it. But it was hard.
Wow.
And they were all from different age ranges. And I went in there first. I was like, oh no, I can handle this. I'm good.
Yeah.
But then you've got to remember, you've got to build your stamina and your speed and power. And that was a massive critique I've had. And even to this day, it still haunts me. He has power, but he's, like for anyone listening, my leg muscles are ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? If there's one thing I've been self-conscious about my entire life is my legs.
Oh my god!
Because they're just so ridiculously big. they're powerful, and I don't do anything. I barely do anything to them, and they, like I do a squat and they grow.
That's it.
It's just how it is. But you get this thing as well. It is okay to know that people are different.
That's right.
And there was one guy. I'm not going to mention his name because he will know if he ever listens. And we became real good friends as well. But all of a sudden, like we were doing, I think it must have been like 200 meters. 100 meters, I'm clear, I'm good. All of a sudden, and he has we're probably the same height at that age.
Yeah.
And he has smaller strides. And he just overtakes me. I'm thinking, how is this happening?
Whoa.
Do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, more people overtake you. And then that's when the competitiveness starts
kicks
happening.
in. Yeah.
It's like, what? This never really happened before, apart from obviously at school. But then it's like, I understand why this guy's got so fast because there's other people to push him.
That's it.
And you learn that from an early age. And then you get, then I got moved to doing the weekly stuff, the weekly training. And that was, oh God. You need a good trainer, man. You need one who can be like, it's okay. You are bad. You know what I mean? There's a lot I've got to work on. Your running technique isn't good.
Mm.
You know, what are you eating? You've come to training, you've had just rice. You know what I mean? So they really, it starts getting more intense. And you're not
Right.
training with people who are just your age, by the way.
Wow.
So I would
So
be
at that point, how old were you when you started doing like the more intense weekly trainings?
13 going on 14.
13, 14 years
Yeah.
old. And who were you training with? Like, what was the age range?
The age range. So I was definitely one of the youngest up to the age of over 17. So 18, no. 17-year-olds.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a big gap.
And these are people who
They're built
they're
different,
built.
mature.
You're basically training with adults at this point.
Exactly, yeah.
And you're not isolated away from real professional athletes. Like I'll probably get to maybe semi-pro or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
on the track. So we trained at Alexander Stadium in Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, you see, you see the best in the country. Sometimes the people and you see the best people from like the USA come as well, Jamaica as well.
Wow.
You see it all come here. You're not put in a room where
in a little box.
Yeah. You get to see it.
Everyone from everywhere.
That's it. And like if you're doing, and everyone trains like in the same tracks because there's 2 of them there. I might have more now, but if you're doing like 100 meters,
yeah,
or the trainers will like say like, okay, we're going to be using these 3 lanes. You can use those 4 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you'll be doing your 100 meters. You're thinking you're fast. Someone who's doing a 400 meters, which is a lot longer,
wow,
you run out of energy more, will blow you on the 100. That would be a professional one. Do you know what I mean? And you're young, you're thinking, what the hell am I? What's going on? Yeah. But you can either let it beat you, or you can think, I am going to get to that level.
That is, I think this transitions us in a very interesting kind of question I wanted to actually ask you. So obviously you're young, you're 13, 14 years old at that point, you're getting professionally trained, you're seeing people from all over the world, and it's like a next level of exposure. And it's like you're meeting all these new people and you're seeing all of that talent out there. And it kind of puts you in some sort of mental space, right?
It does.
I wanted to ask, how did that experience affect the way you view yourself as a person?
Oh man, you have 0 confidence. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
You feel real small. You do feel really small. But when you win, you feel so happy because it's just
that much better, right?
Flipping God, I won something.
Right.
Because it's not just the training. We do competitions. We go around the country, and we'd go to different places.
Yeah.
They were really intimidating.
Wow.
Really intimidating. Really long days. Gosh, it's like a camping trip. You'd be packing food.
Right.
And bear in mind, there's loads of parents. You're probably like 4 coaches worth of people.
Wow.
Going to London, Manchester, wherever you're going.
Yeah.
And they're not so much international, but they are like I can't remember what it is, but UK people basically.
Yeah.
But even then, even if you're you're the strongest and fastest for your age, because that's how it is. I think it's under 13, under 15, then under 17, then over 21. Or so. I can't remember what it is, but I think they're the boundaries between the age limits.
Yeah.
Of course, male and female. You go to this club, even if you're the strongest and fastest in your club, you then go somewhere else to another championship or wherever, or destination,
and then you get humbled real quick.
It's all over again. You might be taller than this guy next to you, who could be, that stereotype. Black people are always, black people are fast. You pull up next to a white person. No racism intended, but this is how it humbles you. Yeah. It doesn't matter half the time.
Like all of your kind of views are kind of distorted.
Shambled.
Yeah, they're just, what's going on here?
You might meet the odd fast one. Don't judge a book by its cover. He might actually be ridiculously fast.
That's it.
I pulled up to one, and all of a sudden, assuming I'm running at this age, I'm running like maybe 11.9 seconds or something. This guy, skinny as hell, could be running like 11.5 and something. You're thinking, how is this? Where have you been? Where, you know what I mean? And you just go through that over and over again. Do you know what I mean? And you see the people at the top, they fall down. Right. And it's just how it is.
That's crazy.
But you do feel really intimidated.
Wow.
Especially I'm getting the feeling right now of when you start the race. You go in your little blocks and you do that little stance that you've got to do.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What kind of feeling is that? I don't really know what that feels like.
Do you know what? What it's oh man. Have you ever felt it's like I don't want to say angry, but you know you feel real anxious.
Mm,
You feel like your belly's going sometimes,
right.
and you feel buzzing. Like have you ever had like 4 coffees or something? Like if you've just downed a lot of coffee.
Oh, not really, but I've had coffee before.
There you go. Right. Imagine
It's
it's
like
just
your stomach drops a
your
bit, but
stomach
also,
is
right?
dropped. That's it. Your stomach
Yeah,
feels dropped,
yeah.
and you feel light, but you feel ready at the same time.
Lightheaded and
You
ready at the same
feel
time.
lightheaded.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
In
That's
the
adrenaline, right?
yes,
Pushing
so
through.
much fucking adrenaline. It is mad. Once you get used to it as well.
Yeah.
You.
Does that become addictive at any point?
That's
That
why
you
I
just,
message you up now. Yeah, 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 yeah.
that's it?
That's why sometimes, like right now, if you say, "Yo, John, let's do a hike," and I'm like, if you know, time permitted, I'll be like, "Yeah, let's go. I'm ready. Let's go. Let's
Yeah,
do it." Do you know what I mean? You
yeah,
get used to being put in the moment.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it it does prepare you for life, but it can mess you up, and that's why sometimes, like when I'm at work,
yeah.
I have to say to people like, "Guys, I've got to go." Do you know what I mean? It's like
Mm,
I start shaking, like I've got to go. I've got to walk the dog. I need to. There's too much energy buildup. I've got to do something.
right. Is this where discipline comes in, would you
Yeah.
say? Would you say discipline is what you took away from your pro athlete days? Is that what it genuinely taught you?
Um, Discipline.
Hmm.
Um, and just respect.
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 In what sense?
You can't judge a book by its cover. You
Hmm.
can't, and you've got to know. Even you saying, "Well, there could be someone faster than him." We just don't know.
That's
Do
it.
you know what I mean? There's potentially someone going to be stronger than you.
Hmm.
Um, just have your wits about you and respect the moment you're in
Hmm.
because you just don't know. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So
yeah.
that was the big thing. But the discipline, yeah, that is one. Like you've got to turn up. Do
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? You've got to turn up.
Would you say at any point did that type of a discipline get toxic for you mentally?
Oh God, yeah. You, I think athletics is. I can't speak so much on other sports because it's a
Hmm.
lot. You can mess up a fair bit
Right.
and you can bring it back. Like you might be able to. If you miss a ball, you might have a defender to help you to not, to
Yeah, you have a team to
you
rely
have a
on,
team,
right?
but
To
if
fall
it's
back
just
on.
yeah, when it is, and that's with athletics as well. No, no, no. Let me finish. Let me land. When with athletics, you're on your own. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And all of a sudden, you've got for you. If you weren't perfect, like if you didn't start correct, if you felt your stride wasn't good on like the fifth step or something,
Hmm.
it is literally like drag racing in cars. I swear to God.
Hmm.
You see them. You look at some of these professional drag racers or drag strips. They'll go out there. They'll check the temperature of the tires, the air, the humidity. Honestly, it's it's a lot to think about. And then
Hmm.
you go away sometimes. You ever thinking just like, huh, was my, how did I feel?
Yeah.
How did I feel okay? Should I have more food? Did I go to the toilet before? Should I have gone after?
Hmm.
Uh, how hot was it? All these things,
Yeah.
and you really start to understand yourself, and you've got to align your body
Yeah.
with the atmosphere to really do a good race.
Hmm.
It can get stressful, especially at a young age,
Yeah.
and that does carry with you as you go along. You
Right.
really judge yourself. Like I said to one of our friends,
Hmm.
I have weekly check-ins
Right.
because you've just learned how's my body doing at the moment.
Hmm.
How does it feel? How's my mental stuff doing?
Yes.
How am I eating?
Yeah.
So that's it. It can turn toxic in the sense
Hmm.
that you become a perfectionist.
Yeah.
You can't. For me, because I am, self improvement stuff. If you can reflect, you can be as perfect as you can be, but you
Hmm.
can't be perfect in the sense that you always master everything. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
You break stuff and you try not to break it the next time, and you just try and improve as you can. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think This is a very interesting point, and I feel like what you mentioned there about discipline, I feel like obviously by nature discipline is a good thing. I
Mm,
would say discipline puts you in the right type of mindset. I guess for some of us it really works.
mm,
I think discipline is what makes you a better human being, what makes you improve as a person. But just, I guess, for the sake of our audience, I want people to know that initially,
mm.
Jordan suggested that I make an episode about obsession with self-improvement. And this topic was mainly about something he's seen out there and in the internet.
Mm.
And this was, I think, a TikTok or a
Oh
reel.
God, yeah, it was
Yeah,
TikTok,
it was
definitely.
it was a
Yeah.
TikTok, and
Mm,
Jordan said, "Look, I think you need to make an episode about this because naturally we're friends, so we have a lot of similar traits, and we always feel like both of us actually can relate to this, is
mm,
that sometimes we get kind of overly obsessed with, improving ourselves.
mm-hmm,
And there's obviously so much out there. Like there's so many people who talk about this is what you can do, to be more XYZ. And I feel like it's a good thing to a degree, just like discipline, just
mm,
like we talked about. But at one point, self-improvement can get pretty addictive. So did you stumble upon,
yeah.
being obsessed with self-improvement before, like learning about it through certain, videos, through TikTok? Did at any point did you think to yourself, oh, maybe I am way too obsessed with improving
Yeah.
myself? Like, did that ever naturally occur to you?
Okay, so I'm gonna say no. Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
think I knew that it was you should be realistic in your expectations,
Mm-hmm.
but when, especially if you go through a phase where you keep achieving a lot,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna say like everyone will go through this because I know everyone's experience is different. But if you go through a stage where you keep achieving your goals,
Mm-hmm.
obviously you can if you make the goals really small, but you can
Yeah.
keep, you can keep getting them. That's when you'll start getting into that habit of thinking, oh, I got that one. I take that off the list.
Mm-hmm.
Let's push a bit more. You'll keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, you will.
Yeah.
Especially if you do have like that mentality of, I'm gonna just try and conquer everything I do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Especially if you know it's gonna make you a better person.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get there. And I did. I no, I didn't. Sorry, no, I didn't. I didn't. um,
So at
yeah.
what point does it get like unhealthy? At what point do you think to yourself, okay, maybe I'm doing too much? Or is there such thing that I am doing too
You can
much?
definitely do too much. You can
Right.
definitely do too much. Whether it's sports or something else.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how I said music, um, self-arrangement. If you start letting other things go, so like yeah, housework,
Mm-hmm.
hygiene.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a problem with the hygiene, but the housework could be lacking.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I've had mum to support,
Mm-hmm.
especially through university. What happened, especially in university, I was addicted to just trying to get this first class degree. Even when I knew at some point I was fully clear of getting one,
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I want to get 90% on everything. Let me
Yeah.
just try it.
I remember that time.
It was horrible.
I remember that time from uni, yeah.
Yeah, it was
You
diminishing returns, seriously.
you were super determined. I
Yeah.
remember because for FYI to our audience, I mean, we've known each other since uni times.
Mm,
And I remember Jordan, yeah, like he would get like 90 plus in like his projects, his like
mm,
classes and modules. And it's like he would always feel, from the rhetoric he had, I always
mm,
felt like it wasn't enough, like ever.
mm-hmm.
I I do remember that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
do remember that
yeah.
time.
It's ingrained. I swear it is.
Hmm.
That honestly comes from sports. I
That's
can't
it.
lie. It does because if you're not in a competition with anyone,
But yourself,
you're gonna
right?
be in a competition with yourself. Like even at
Absolutely.
uni, I'd hear something like, "Oh, I got this." I was like, "I really don't care what you got.
That's it.
I I need to be my
My own
predict." Do you know what I
best.
mean?
Yeah.
So, but that can become bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can be good because you might just absolutely obliterate everyone else,
Hmm.
but you'll be on your own lane. You don't want to be on your own, man. It's not. It's not good. And it turned toxic for me because, especially with the music.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! It was lockdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were just going to lockdown,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do for however long this lasts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now working. I haven't worked for this just started working as soon as COVID happened.
Yeah.
Should I just buy a keyboard and just start this stuff what I've always wanted to do?
Yeah, so that's right. I remember this from your Instagram. You did start getting into music during lockdown. Is that correct? Yeah.
And I was so committed. And obviously my aunt, because she was in the music.
Yeah.
And I was showing her stuff. She was like, oh, you could do. I mean, she was honest. She was like, it don't really sound that good, but I can see what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, give me a month. And the same thing again.
That fire inside of you.
That fire inside, because one, I can flip in. Oh my god, I can actually do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then every month and month, it's like, wow, okay, you're getting good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not just, oh, let me shut him up and just say he's doing all right. It's like, no, you're doing good. And then I think where it really started to get toxic for me was when I did start posting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we can probably go into, I don't know, this episode or whatever, but I'll try to summarize it. I started posting stuff.
Yeah.
And someone who worked with Drake reached out and was like,
whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he
really Drake.
Big man.
The big man himself.
The big man.
Uh-huh.
Not him, but one of his.
One of his.
Yeah, someone who worked with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was trying to build his own catalog.
Okay.
And he was just like, no, this is real good. He was like, could you send me the stems? So I sent him the stems. Stems is basically, you got your drums, you got your, I don't know. It's different sections of the music, melodies, chorus, all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
I think I explained that wrong. But still, it's different instruments and different elements of the music stacked together to make the full track, basically.
Right.
Sent him that. This is how the industry works, right? Like, you send stuff, you might not hear anything. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
But once, it's like, oh my god, this guy with a blue tick has just popped up.
Yeah.
He worked with Drake.
Yeah.
And even if you do get like a stem or like a loop and that gets out there, you get something for that.
Yeah.
And it's, ongoing income. It's royalties, basically.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I was like, oh no, I'm not stopping now.
Yeah.
Like, I made something from scratch and somebody liked it and wanted a part of that.
Wow.
Okay, I'll keep going then. I've got nothing else to do.
That's it.
Obviously, work took a
priority at the time.
But no, it didn't.
It didn't.
No, I put that on the side. I was like,
that was on the side. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be at work. I'll be having like music blogs and everything up and researching.
Yeah.
Seeing how to get the best sound. People, you're always connecting with people, trying to figure out what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But this is when it started to become really tiring for me, because I was like, there are people who out there who they want it so bad, especially with music, because we know it's within music you get taken advantage of. Especially a lot of industries anyway.
Yeah.
You do something called like you make beats. That's what we call it. Like, oh, you're gonna make a beat or something.
Yeah.
There was some guys saying, and bear in mind, these people are making the music just for the sake of it. Like, I've made 10 beats today. I've made 20 beats today.
Yeah.
But any of them good? Nah, 3 of them were, but I just committed. And that's what some people push out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we will really circle back, because that is kind of how we got here today with my new mindset. I'm not even going to lie, but there are so many people who just like come into it and just, it's like, this is what it takes to be successful. It's like, right, if you've got no heart and no passion and you're just doing it for doing it, don't get me wrong, you build the stamina in terms of making beats. You can go in there, you can be put on the spot and do it. Excellent. That's cool. But if you've still got no heart and passion, what if the person says, I want you to put your heart and soul into it? Yeah. I don't have my heart and soul anymore because I've done it for so long. Right. That can happen. You see it. It gets toxic as hell. And it gets exhausting. Yeah. You might come up with something good every now and then, but no. And for me, I just took a massive break after that. Yeah. And I deleted the stuff. I was like, we need to redo everything. Yeah. Because the connections I had then were toxic as well. they had the wrong mindset. I
Yeah.
wouldn't call them toxic. They're nice people, but it was the wrong. I wasn't trying to get into,
But it wasn't right for you.
Nah,
Yeah,
it's not. And I want to do stuff because I want to do it, not
that's
because,
it.
yo, I need 10 beat. Nah, man, you can wait. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, and I said,
100%.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we can circle back into, you know, the way sports and fitness kind of played such a detrimental role in the
Mm,
way that you kind of shaped yourself and your personality gets shaped and how you view yourself.
mm.
Would you say Would you say doing all of that as a kid, like obviously you told us about your starting from, karate and football from very young age.
Mm.
You've always obviously always been very, very like into fitness, into sports. It obviously when you're a child, you don't really think about being fit, right? You think about, oh, this is fun. Like
Yeah,
I have
that's
lots of
it.
energy. Like I want to do this because
That's
also
it.
my mom put me into this. I might
Yeah.
as well try.
Mm.
Would you say all of that sports experience, your pro athlete times, how did that impact your current fitness journey? And maybe walk us through a bit what you do currently. I think you do have your TikTok where
Mm.
you post your fitness journey, and
Yeah.
I'll link it down in the description of the episode if Jordan is okay with that.
Yeah, you can do what you want.
And yeah, talk us a little bit through why you're doing what you're doing right now with your fitness
Mm.
journey.
I must say, I did start the athletics at 18 or 17.
Right.
And then I started going to the gym, but I wasn't taking it serious at all.
Mm-hmm.
And now I do the gym only now. When I say gym, we like lift weights and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I'd say now I'm on a cut because I've never bulked before in my life. Last year I did
Mm-hmm.
bulking just to put on the muscle, see how strong I can get. Because where it goes back to how you said, like, how does it influence now?
Mm-hmm.
It feels, I'm not going to say it feels easy,
Yeah.
but it feels like, yeah, a lot of it's mental to, a lot of it is mental to, you're battling a lot of, it's not just physical, right?
Yeah.
It is, you know, you have at least 4 more reps. Your body is saying, no, I can't. Your mind side is probably saying, no, you can't because
Yeah.
it's natural,
Yeah.
but you have.
Mm.
Now, in athletics, if you're getting beat, like if you're doing like maybe 1,000 meters or something, because you've got to do stamina training.
Mm-hmm.
If you're coming up against someone and all of a sudden they might be overtaking you, you feel like, oh my god, I can't let this happen. Something in your brain might kick in, and it
Mm-hmm.
starts to kick in every so often because you've still got a lot left.
Yeah.
And there was one thing we were taught as well was like the final sprint, like after you've done. A trainer once said, like, I don't care how exhausted you are. Obviously, you're all sprinters.
Yeah.
You're doing a 2K run.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
At the end of that 2K, you need to sprint. I do not care. And you're going to want to sprint because you want to finish, you want it to end.
Yeah.
You do that over and over again. So
Mm-hmm.
that when it comes to when we're doing reps, I, I will breathe, we learn to breathe in, hold it,
Yeah.
ignore it. That's it. Just ignore it. Just go.
Wow.
It will be over soon.
That's very strong
Yeah.
discipline of the mind. Yeah.
It is hard because you do, and we were taught as well, actually like this at school.
Yeah.
I think at a high level you get that, but you learn to just focus at everything and white out the ring.
And also push through, right?
Yeah.
Because at that final point,
Mm.
I mean, I've never been a pro athlete in my life, but I did run a bit when I was in school. I was like in
Mm.
a little team where girls would do like running and stuff like that.
Mm.
I feel like right at the end, you're so exhausted,
Mm.
but that push is like almost your second breath comes out of somewhere
Where
else.
does it come from,
I don't know where it comes from, right?
Mm.
But it's like I feel like something that a lot of people who've like professionally done sports, they can probably relate to as well.
Oh.
It's like that last almost peaking point where you're so tired,
Mm.
but you have to push through, and I bet that does a lot to your mental
It does, but
mental
it feels so
state.
good. It feels,
Exactly, I
yeah.
think it teaches you something.
Mm.
It's like it makes you more, less susceptible actually to stress because
Mm.
you can
Right,
handle it better, right? Like
100%.
at the peak time, because obviously our life is complicated, right?
Yeah,
Life is
it's
complex,
ups and downs and
ups and downs, and sometimes downs are, much more felt than
mm,
the ups. So if you're going through a very low time in your life
mm,
and it's a bit, it's a bit rough and stuff
mm,
like that, and listen, sometimes real life really hits you. Like
mm-hmm.
things can happen that you just are, it's just so out of the world that
Yeah,
you're like, okay, like some people are not really meant to even handle that type of
this
stuff.
is what, yeah,
But
no,
some people who've gone through things like you we were talking about here,
yeah, it
I
equips
think
you,
they
man.
exactly, it gives you the right tools
Yeah,
to know how to push through the tough times, because
100%.
the whole philosophy there is like you push through the hardest bit of your journey
Honestly.
of the track, and then
Mm.
it got you to the finish line, and then you achieved something in your
It
life.
really is a metaphor for life. I'm not kidding. It does help.
Absolutely.
It does help. I feel the
Absolutely.
addictive part for me
Hmm.
is when you're in your final, like if we're lifting a weight or something, and this is why I've got to be careful because it's not the same.
Yeah.
If we're doing a deadlift, I can't be doing this, right? So
Yeah.
I can't be in the failure point and think
Hmm.
I am going to struggle and do 10 more. You will probably break your spine. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when we're doing like a safe, like when we're doing something safe, like if
Hmm.
it is just like for reps or something,
Yeah.
my brain's like, okay, we are done. And
Hmm.
I'm like, no, we're not. I know we've got more.
Hmm.
And once you finish, the rush you get, it's so good. It's
Absolutely.
so good.
It's that thing that they say, your mind gives up first.
Mm,
It's like exactly like that translation of that discipline in your,
mm,
like sports experience and like at pro athlete times. It's like all of that translates into your into you being like mentally prepared and
mm,
like, resilient towards things.
100%.
So at that point, it's like, okay, your mind could give up, but
Yeah, you've still got
intuitively
it.
that my body can do more.
Hmm.
And obviously, there is a point where you should obviously care about your health and be like, okay, if I cross this boundary,
Yeah,
it's going to hurt me. So you need to
yeah.
be, I guess, even more disciplined
Hmm.
to understand that this is your breaking
That's the yeah,
point. Let's not push through
yeah, yeah,
that bit. That's where we talked about, okay, this gets toxic
Mm.
because that's not normal
That
to
is a
do. You shouldn't
yeah,
harm yourself, obviously.
100%, and that's happened to me last year. I did try cutting last year,
Mm.
but I cut it so hard because I'm used. I don't really like running, but
Yeah.
I can do it, and I'll man it out, and I'll just
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah.
And I was so exhausted. I did a squat. I didn't even, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't. I thought it was fine. All of a sudden, I'm like, why is my back hurting so much? It was a lightweight as well.
Yeah.
Your body is exhausted. You've got to listen to it. You at that
Absolutely.
point because the brain is trying. That's what you know. The brain. You've now conditioned the brain to keep going,
That's it.
but you've got to wind it back down now.
Mm-hmm.
Like good. Ticked after this, you can now push through your boundaries, and even your brain knows now
Yeah.
that you've got it.
Yeah.
But be careful because your brain or body has regulators for a reason.
Of
Do you know what
course.
I mean? So
Yeah.
even if you break your limit,
Yeah.
yo, be careful
Yeah.
because you might get really
Of
injured.
course. Of course. It's all about, that little line,
Mm,
it's very thin line, but it needs to be there intuitively. Like obviously
mm,
don't ever do things that could harm you mentally or physically, because you need to know your limits as well. It's like
100%.
as much as you can push through
Mm,
and be kind of into improving yourself all the time, it's also important to know what are your limits and
mm,
when to take a step back.
yeah.
I guess this kind of very nicely, smoothly gets us into kind of the end of the episode.
Mm,
I would say the last thing I would want to ask you is a little bit of a, I guess, a message to our audience, or
mm,
more of a, what would you say is the takeaway of the episode? And you can phrase it around, let's say, that balance
mm,
between discipline and, growing as a human being
mm,
mentally and physically, bettering yourself in a natural way where you allow yourself to breathe.
yeah.
What is that takeaway message? How do you think is the best way to maintain that balance going forward?
I've been thinking about it myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think, look, it can get tough, in it. It can get real tough.
For sure.
But the more you beat them, the more you beat those challenges, the better it gets.
Yeah.
But you've got to stay grounded. Seriously, like that is, if that's the message, like keep being determined, but you've just got to stay grounded. You know,
That's it.
That's it, and just keep determined. It can be applied to anything. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Mm.
Keep going. Stay humble.
Stay
you know.
humble. That's yeah. Stay
Stay humble.
humble. Keep grounded. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And look, this is your own life. This is your own story.
Exactly. You're right to, it's your story.
Yeah.
Exactly. You write it yourself.
Write it yourself. Be free. Just keep going.
Absolutely. Well, Jordan, on that extremely, extremely philosophical, inspirational note, we're going to wrap up the episode.
It went quick.
It did. I feel like it went super quick, but I think we've been talking for quite a while. But this was super fun. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening to I Was Just Overthinking. If you want to follow Jordan's fitness journey on TikTok, I'll link it right in the description of the episode. Give him a follow. Follow this guy. He's sick. I appreciate him so much. We've known each other for so long. We've always been into very similar things, like, improving yourself, being better. And I hope you took something interesting away from this episode. Let me know what you think of the episode on Instagram. And until the very next episode, see you later.